welcome to this painting tutorial. I'm going to show you how I painted the Chosen Axes from Underworlds Shadespire. Because it was primarily a board game, I went for a smoother, more natural look to the miniatures rather than doing too much bright and harsh highlighting, which you normally want to make them pop when you're going to be standing around the gaming board. Obviously you could use this method for your Fyreslayer army for Age of Sigmar as well. For the undercoat, I went for white and just used Citadel's Corax white spray. Just be sure to keep it nice and light so you don't obscure any details when you're spraying. Now we're going to give the whole model a wash of Agrax Earthshade. This gives us some nice pre-shading which comes in later for the hair and the beard, and it helps define all the other features. Now we're going to base coat the skin with Cadian Fleshtone. This is a lighter shade than the usual Bugman's Glow, but it looks a little bit more natural and it's going to help blend in the highlighting later on. Now we're going to base coat all of the metal with lead belcher. So this is the weapons, the helmet and any decorative plates around the belt and the wrists as well. For the cloth, we're going to use Incubi Darkness as the base coat. It can be awkward because of the sculpts on this, but just take your time, because if you get this dark colour on the skin, it's going to take a few coats to try and cover it up and fix any mistakes. For the belt, I use Screamer Pink. This goes really nicely with the green on the cloth, but it can be a bit fiddly as it's such a small amount at the back to paint. Just take your time and try and be as neat as possible. Now we're going to start the shading with Nuln Oil. So we need to use this on all of the metal, the belt and the cloth as well. Usually for pink I'd shade it with a purple, but because it's such a small section and it's right at the back anyway, I just shaded it with Nuln Oil at this point. Now we're going to paint the decorative metal with Balthasar Gold. So this is the helmet designs and also the inner sections of the axes and any decorative parts on the belt or wrists as well. Now we're going to use Reichland Fleshshade to shade all of the decorative gold and all of the flesh as well. This is going to really bring out the gold and it's going to add all the definition to the skin and the muscles as well. For the hair, use Cassandora yellow to give it a really bright, rich colour. I went for a more blonde colour than the typical orange. This works a treat and it's really easy to do. You can be quite liberal with this, but yeah, just make sure it doesn't pull too much. This is a bit of an optional step, but it was quite fun, so I wanted to do it anyway. I used blood for the blood gods, thinned down a little bit to help give a bit of a transition in the hair, a little bit of shading from red to the blonde. I did some extra shading later, which we'll see, so this isn't the final bit of shading for this. Now we're going to highlight the cloth. What I did is mix some Incubi darkness with Cabalite green and cover most of the cloth, just leaving some of the original colour behind. While that's still wet, go back in with Cabalite green and just highlight it a little bit further, covering even less of it. And finally just use Sybarite green as an edge highlight for this. Highlight the skin, I did a 50-50 mix of Cadian Fleshtone and Kislev flesh. So concentrate on the raised, more prominent areas on the muscle, face and hands. But the key thing is just make sure you leave some of the original colour behind. Next we're going to take pure Kislev flesh and just go round highlighting the skin again, just painting on even less. This is going to give a really nice natural transition because the colours are quite close together, and it's going to blend it all nicely. Again, just target all the raised areas and just take your time working around the miniature. Now we're going to mix Spellturn Green with just a little Drakenhof Nightshade and paint this over the main silver part of the helmet and also the weapon handles. This adds a little bit more interest colour-wise, as it's pretty limited on these miniatures, and it also matches the artwork as well. I wanted to do something a little bit different with the runes across his body. I wanted to give it like a flaming glowing effect. So we're going to start off with orange and just carefully, using a smaller brush with a fine point, just paint across the runes. We're going to continue this with some Uriel yellow, painting more in the central part of the runes so that you're leaving the orange showing at either end of the rune. Now we're going to take some white paint and just paint the very centre of the rune. Just be really careful so that you can leave some of the yellow and orange showing, so you get a bit of a transition with it. Okay, so to complete the look on this, we're just going to take some more Cassandora yellow and paint this over each rune. Make sure you cover the rune, but also a little bit of the area surrounding it, and that just helps give the effect that it's glowing, blazing away. I had a bit of fun with the eyes, so I took some Blood for the Blood God and just painted this into the eye. It was thinned down slightly just to help it flow a bit. But yeah, you could use orange or red, but it was quite fun using this technical paint. To highlight the metal, we're going to use Stormhost Silver. Now we're going for edge highlights here, so just try and use the side of your brush and just work your way around picking up all of the edges. Once you've done the silver highlighting, make sure you go on and just carefully run the brush across the gold decoration on the helmet, and that just helps highlight the prominent areas. Just to complete the shading on the hair, we get right click Fleshtone and just work your way around, starting from the head, moving out about a third or halfway through, just adding it across the hair and the beard. As a highlight to the hair, I used Flash Gets Yellow. This was a nice easy step, just literally run your brush across the upper part of the hair and into the beard. Make sure you've not got too much paint on your brush. Now we're going to add a bit of a blazing, glowing effect to the weapons. So if you water down the orange into nearly a wash and just liberally apply this over the weapon itself. Start in the middle and work your way outwards. While that's still wet, get some more Cassandora yellow and start applying this as well, focusing more on the central area of the weapon. You want it to look like it's glowing from the core of the weapon, so you want that yellow staying in the middle more. If you start getting pooling, just use your brush to start soaking up some of the excess paint. And just try and keep it away from the edges of the weapon. You just really want it just in the middle. Finally, we're just going to give the whole model a wash of Agrax Earthshade. This is going to tone down some of the brighter yellows in the hair and the beard, and it just blends the whole miniature together as a whole. Here's another look at the final result. I painted the base to tie it in with the Shadespire board, and the dark colours really help the miniature pop. Thanks for watching, really hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it gives you some ideas for your own warbands. Take care, and I'll see you next time.